In the early 1870s, the town of Surrency, located in Savannah, Georgia, was possessed by evil spirits. Herschel Tillman was one of the main witnesses who experienced the ghostly acts which took place in the house many times when he visited the place in his childhood. Were the houses haunted? Did any paranormal activity take place in the Surrency House? Alan Powell Surrency built a beautiful two-storied home for his family in the town of Surrency near the railroad tracks. He was known to be the founder of the town. The house was built in a way that it was spacious and had great air passage. Alan was a sawmill operator and used to take his family on short trips. He and his family were living peacefully in their Surrency home when he decided to take his family to Hazelhurst in October 1872. The overjoyed family members went on the trip and came back in a few days. At first, they didn't experience any paranormal activities. They resided in their home like before and went on with their daily activities. After a few minutes, they started noticing strange things happening. It was Alan who experienced the first ghostly incident. As he went into the kitchen to get a glass of water, a glass tumbler fell off from the kitchen counter slab. He was scared at first, but then he thought it might be the stray cat that roamed around the house when they were not there. As he took another glass, he noticed that the crockery was moving. Every crockery they had in their kitchen fell and broke into pieces. Alan and his family were in doubt about whether it was an earthquake. After this strange event, Alan talked to the townspeople, but nothing happened to their neighbors or people in the town. They had never experienced something like this. The family was distraught as they feared that angry spirits lived in their house. The family slept that night while they felt like their entire house was upside down as more crockery and food were thrown out and destroyed. Billets of wood fell from different parts of the house. When the Surrency family woke up in the morning, they saw their house ripped apart, with almost nothing to be destroyed. Alan's wife called the children, saying that the ghosts wouldn't come for them as they were small. It will only harm the house and not them. She said that perhaps they want the house we live in. On that very same night, wailing voices were heard by the children. They saw boots walking in the air. Angry screams didn't allow Alan's family to sleep that night. The children were petrified as they didn't know what to do. The people in the town spoke about it, and they all felt sorry for the ghostly acts which were taking place in the Surrency home. Even though they felt sorry, they all were curious to see the ghost. People started going into Alan's home to witness the wrath of the ghosts. Most of them thought that Alan made up the story to get public attention. But as they went by the house, they realized that it was nothing like they imagined. The house looked like it was affected by an earthquake. As people started stepping in, they heard the screams of the ghosts and things were thrown at them. They ran away from the Surrency home as fast as they could. The haunted Surrency home became so famous that people from other places started visiting the house. The ghostly acts were only visible to a few, whereas when other people came in, they experienced nothing. The strange activity continued when the family was all alone in their home. Silverware was thrown at them. Even pans fell from the cupboard on the floor. The clock on the wall didn't show time. Instead, it spun speedily without stopping at any numbers. The family couldn't even buy new furniture or crockery, as it would be destroyed in minutes. Every day they woke up fearing what they would experience today. After a few years, they got used to this series of paranormal activities. The family adjusted to their new strange lifestyle. No one complained anymore. Screams became familiar, and even the children adjusted to it. They will be scared now, and then they took it as normal. There was nothing they could do. They sat there in their house as in the background every possession of their things was destroyed. Alan knew that the only remedy they had was to move out of their home. But where will they go? Would the ghosts follow them? A lot of questions were raised in his mind. He didn't know what to do at that point. Alan built this large two-storied home with most of the money he had. Even if he sold the house, no one would buy it as everyone knows it's haunted. The only thing they could do was live there till they saved up enough money to move out. As Alan and his family didn't react to most of the ghostly acts as they got used to them, the spirits became angry. They wanted to shock the Surrency family. They brought in a more terrifying ghostly act to the Surrency family. At that time, people from England and Canada came to the Surrency family to witness the paranormal activity. They were all excited to hear the angry screams of the ghosts and silverware thrown at them. But what they failed to realize was that the Surrency family suffered there. Several years passed by, and one night, as visitors left the Surrency house and the family was getting ready to sleep, suddenly they heard the cries of one of the sons of Alan. He was chased down by the hall by a ghost. The ghost had unseen hands. The boy couldn't breathe and he was losing consciousness. The boy was frightened for his life, and for several minutes the ghost was after him. Alan couldn't see his child in pain. He realized that if they stayed here any longer, they would lose their lives. He asked his wife to pack their clothes and only necessary things. That single night changed their lives. As the packing began, the angry screams of the ghosts became more violent and louder. It was as if the ghosts didn't want the Surrency family to leave. Things started falling. The clock spun anti-clockwise. As the wife of Alan took the silverware, it was taken away from her by a strange force and thrown at her. The children had to cover their ears with the increasing noises and screams. They even heard the wailing of a woman nonstop. As they finished packing, they took their bags to the porch. Alan was standing on the pitch when the door and the windows got closed. His wife and children were in the house. Alan lost it at this point. He aggressively tried to unlock the door and broke the windows. He rescued his wife and children from the hands of the ghosts. With the help of their friends, they moved into a new house. They felt peaceful and relieved. It was a new start for the Surrency family. They had high hopes for this new beginning. For the first time, they were going to sleep peacefully. Alan and his wife happily arranged the furniture and the crockery. Children were overjoyed as they got rooms to themselves, and they don't have to fear the ghosts anymore. Alan asked his friends how things were at his previous house. They said that they didn't hear any cries from the ghost. Everything was peaceful, and he had nothing to worry about. Alan thought that the house was haunted, and that the ghosts did whatever they could do to remove his family from there. As the Surrency family prepared for hitting the bed, they heard noises from different corners of the house. The same screams of the angry ghosts and the wailing of the woman. Their boots started walking in the air and plates shattered onto the floor. Silverware was thrown at them and wood started falling. Alan and his family stood at the center of the hall breaking into tears and watching the wrath of the ghosts. They realized that these ghosts were stuck with them, and no matter where they moved, they had no escape. The mental state of the family members was deeply affected as they had to go through paranormal activity every day. Alan was emotionally down most of the time. No one visited their new house as people were scared that the ghosts would follow them. Alan and his family didn't make any plans to move out. Instead, they stayed there. It was in 1887, Alan died. When the family lost Alan to death, they were in grief. They cried all night and day. Alan was the sole pillar of their home. After a few days, the family members were getting used to their new routine without Alan. They realized that silverware was in place, the wood didn't fall, and they couldn't hear any cries of the ghost or wailing of the woman. Months and years passed by and the house was no more haunted. The ghosts didn't come after the Surrency family. But this time the grief of losing their loved one haunted them. Sleepless nights waited for them as they mourned in the pain of Alan's death. Do you think Alan was the reason the ghosts followed them? Was there any secret reason behind it? Let us know in the comments.